You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius, they tell you to be flexible, adaptable, go with the flow. They say rigidity is weakness. They are wrong. Fluidity without structure is chaos. Adaptability without a core is surrender. Imagine an army that changes its strategy with every gust of wind. It will be scattered and broken before it even meets the enemy. You need a fortress within, a bedrock of principles, a rigid spine of self-discipline that will not bend, will not break, regardless of the storm raging around you. This inner fortress is not about being inflexible to new information. It is about having the strength to evaluate that information from a position of unwavering strength. It is about filtering the world through your values, not being molded by its fleeting whims. This isn't some new age concept. It is the foundational principle upon which empires are built and personal victories are won. Every successful individual, every enduring institution possesses this inner fortress. It is the ability to stand firm in the face of adversity, to maintain your course when everyone else is losing theirs, to be unwavering, unbent, unbowed. The world preaches compromise. It tells you to meet people halfway. It celebrates the art of the deal, the subtle dance of negotiation. But compromise without a firm foundation is just another word for erosion. It is slowly giving away pieces of yourself until there is nothing left but an empty shell. The inner fortress is the line you refuse to cross. It is the principle you will not violate. It is the price you will not pay. It is the knowledge that some things are simply non-negotiable. This isn't about being unreasonable. It is about understanding your worth, knowing your boundaries, and having the courage to defend them. Without this inner fortress, you are vulnerable to manipulation, susceptible to pressure, and destined to be swept away by the currents of external influence. They will tell you that you are being stubborn. They will accuse you of being inflexible. But true strength lies in the ability to stand firm when the world demands that you yield. Most people drift through life, reacting to circumstances rather than shaping them. They are tossed about by the winds of fortune, their decisions dictated by fear, convenience, or the desire for approval. They are like ships without anchors, lost at sea, their destinies determined by forces beyond their control. The inner fortress is your anchor. It is the stability that allows you to weather any storm. It is the unwavering center from which you can navigate the treacherous waters of life. It is not a guarantee of success, but it is a guarantee of resilience. It is the assurance that even when you are knocked down, you will rise again, stronger and more determined than before. This is because your sense of self is not tied to external validation, not dependent on fleeting achievements, but rooted in the unshakable foundation of your inner fortress. The masses will always be swayed by trends, by opinions, by the latest shiny object. But you will remain steadfast, guided by your own internal compass, immune to the distractions that lead others astray. Building this inner fortress is not easy. It requires brutal self-honesty, relentless self-discipline, and a willingness to confront your own weaknesses. It means facing your fears, acknowledging your shortcomings, and committing to continuous self-improvement. It is a process of constant refinement, of chipping away at the flaws in your character, of reinforcing the foundations of your being. It demands sacrifice. It requires you to forego instant gratification in favor of long-term growth. It forces you to make difficult choices, to prioritize your principles over your desires. But the rewards are immeasurable. The inner fortress is not just a defense against external threats. It is a source of inner peace, a wellspring of self-confidence, and a catalyst for extraordinary achievement. It is the key to unlocking your full potential, to living a life of purpose and meaning, to leaving a lasting legacy on the world. Do not be misled by the siren song of flexibility without foundation. Build your inner fortress, and let it be your shield against the storms of life, and your launchpad for the ascent to greatness. The strength of your inner fortress dictates the quality of your thoughts, the resilience of your emotions, and the clarity of your actions. It's the filter through which you perceive the world, shaping your interpretations and influencing your responses. A weak fortress allows negativity to seep in, doubt to fester, and fear to paralyze. A strong fortress, however, deflects these toxic influences, allowing you to maintain a state of clarity, focus, and unwavering resolve. It's not about becoming immune to negative emotions. It's about having the mental architecture to process them constructively, to learn from them, and to prevent them from derailing your progress. Think of it as a mental immune system, constantly defending you against the viruses of negativity and self-doubt. This system is built through deliberate practice, through the repeated exposure to challenging situations, and through the conscious cultivation of mental fortitude. It's not a passive process. It's an active pursuit, a daily commitment to reinforcing the walls of your inner sanctuary. Consider the mental landscape of someone without an inner fortress. They are easily swayed by external opinions, constantly seeking validation from others, and prone to emotional reactivity. Their thoughts are scattered, their focus fragmented, and their actions impulsive. They are like a ship without a rudder, tossed about by the currents of circumstance. Now contrast this with someone who has dedicated themselves to building a strong inner fortress. They are grounded in their values, confident in their abilities, and resilient in the face of adversity. They are not immune to setbacks, but they possess the mental resilience to bounce back quickly, to learn from their mistakes, and to emerge stronger than before. Their thoughts are clear, their focus unwavering, and their actions deliberate. They are the masters of their own destiny, navigating the storms of life with courage and conviction. The difference lies not in innate talent or external circumstances, but in the conscious choice to cultivate inner strength. The construction of your inner fortress begins with awareness. You must first identify the weaknesses in your mental architecture, the vulnerabilities that allow negativity and self-doubt to penetrate your defenses. This requires brutal self-honesty, a willingness to confront your own shortcomings without judgment. Are you prone to negative self-talk? Do you dwell on past mistakes? Do you seek validation from others? Do you avoid challenges out of fear of failure? These are the cracks in your foundation, the points of entry for toxic influences. Once you have identified these weaknesses, you can begin to address them systematically. This might involve practicing mindfulness to become more aware of your thoughts and emotions, challenging negative thought patterns through cognitive reframing, or seeking out challenging experiences to build resilience and confidence. It's a process of constant self-assessment, of identifying areas for improvement and implementing strategies to strengthen your mental defenses. The mortar that binds the stones of your inner fortress is self-discipline. It is the unwavering commitment to doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. It is the ability to resist instant gratification in favor of long-term goals, to prioritize your principles over your desires. Self-discipline is not about suppressing your emotions or denying your needs. It's about channeling your energy in a productive direction, about aligning your actions with your values. It's about training your mind to overcome impulses, to resist distractions, and to stay focused on your objectives. This requires consistent effort, a daily practice of self-control and willpower. Start small, with simple habits like waking up early, exercising regularly, or practicing mindful meditation. As you build momentum, you can gradually tackle more challenging tasks, pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone and expanding your capacity for self-discipline. The blueprint for your inner fortress is your value system. These are the principles that guide your actions, the beliefs that define your character, the standards that you hold yourself to. A strong value system provides a moral compass, helping you to navigate difficult decisions and to stay true to yourself in the face of adversity. It's not about blindly adhering to rigid rules. It's about developing a deep understanding of your own values and aligning your actions with those values. This requires introspection, a thoughtful examination of your beliefs and principles. What do you stand for? What are you willing to fight for? What kind of person do you want to be? These are the questions that you must answer in order to create a solid foundation for your inner fortress. Your values should be more than just abstract ideals. They should be living principles that guide your daily actions and shape your overall character. Psychological warfare begins within. If you can't control your own mind, you are a pawn to external forces. Your anxieties, your fears, your insecurities, these are the weapons that your enemies can use against you. Therefore, mastering your own psychology is the first and most crucial step in any strategic endeavor. Understand your triggers, identify your weaknesses, and develop strategies for mitigating them. This is not about suppressing your emotions. It's about understanding them, about learning to manage them, about preventing them from controlling your actions. Think of it as a form of mental reconnaissance, gathering intelligence on your own internal landscape so that you can better defend yourself against external attacks. The more you know about yourself, the more resilient you become. Your inner fortress is not a static structure. It's a dynamic, evolving entity. It requires constant maintenance, continuous reinforcement, and periodic upgrades. As you grow and evolve, your values may shift, your priorities may change, and your challenges may become more complex. Your inner fortress must adapt to these changes, becoming stronger and more resilient with each passing year. This requires a commitment to lifelong learning, a willingness to embrace new ideas, and a constant pursuit of self-improvement. It's not about becoming perfect. It's about striving to be better, about constantly refining your mental architecture and reinforcing the foundations of your being. The ultimate goal is not to create an impenetrable fortress, but to cultivate an unbreakable spirit, a mind that is capable of weathering any storm and emerging stronger than before. Consider the story of Marcus, a mid-level executive in a cutthroat corporate environment. Marcus, at 38, was seemingly at the peak of his game. He had a beautiful family, a respectable income, and the admiration of his colleagues. But beneath the surface, Marcus was slowly being eaten alive. His ambition, once a driving force, had become a source of constant anxiety. He was obsessed with climbing the corporate ladder, constantly comparing himself to his peers and terrified of falling behind. He started working longer hours, sacrificing time with his family and neglecting his own well-being. He became irritable, short-tempered, and increasingly isolated. His inner fortress, once a sturdy structure built on ambition and confidence, was beginning to crumble under the weight of his insecurities. He was vulnerable, and his rivals sensed it. One day, a new executive joined the company, a younger, more charismatic individual named Ethan. Ethan quickly became a rising star, attracting the attention of senior management and overshadowing Marcus's achievements. Marcus felt threatened, and his anxiety spiraled out of control. He started making mistakes, missing deadlines, and alienating his colleagues. His focus shifted from his own work to obsessively tracking Ethan's progress, fueling his paranoia and undermining his performance. Ethan, sensing Marcus's weakness, subtly exploited it. He would casually mention his successes in meetings, knowing that it would trigger Marcus's insecurities. He would subtly undermine Marcus's ideas, making him look incompetent in front of his superiors. He did it all with a disarming smile and a seemingly genuine desire to help, but the effect was devastating. Marcus's mental state deteriorated rapidly. He became consumed by envy, resentment, and self-doubt. He started questioning his abilities, his worth, and his place in the company. He lost sleep, stopped eating properly, and became increasingly withdrawn. He was a shadow of his former self, a broken man consumed by his own insecurities. The ruthless corporate environment had exposed the cracks in Marcus's inner fortress, and Ethan had expertly exploited them to his advantage. Marcus's failure was not due to a lack of intelligence or competence. It was due to a lack of inner resilience, a failure to master his own psychology. He had allowed his emotions to control his actions, his insecurities to cloud his judgment, and his rivals to exploit his vulnerabilities. He had neglected his inner fortress, allowing it to crumble, leaving him defenseless against the attacks of the outside world. This highlights a fundamental truth about the nature of competition. It's not just about external skills and strategies. It's about internal strength and resilience. The most skilled warrior can be defeated by self-doubt. The most brilliant mind can be crippled by anxiety. and the most ambitious leader can be undone by insecurity. Therefore, mastering your own psychology is not just a desirable trait, it's a critical necessity for success in any field. You must build a fortress within yourself, a mental sanctuary that can withstand the storms of life and the attacks of your enemies. The trap is believing you're ready for war when you've only played at peace. It's a seductive illusion, the comfortable delusion that because you've navigated daily life, handled minor setbacks, and achieved some level of external success, you possess the inner fortitude to withstand true adversity. The world doesn't care about your feelings, your intentions, or your past achievements. It's a brutal arena where only the strong survive and strength begins in the mind. Many mistake surface-level confidence for genuine inner strength. They mistake the ability to perform in controlled environments for the ability to persevere through chaos and uncertainty. They mistake the absence of hardship for the presence of resilience. This is a fatal error. True resilience is forged in the crucible of adversity, tested by relentless pressure, and hardened by repeated failures. It's not a state of being, it's a process of becoming. The weak are seduced by the allure of comfort, the promise of ease, and the illusion of control. They avoid challenges, seek validation, and prioritize immediate gratification over long-term growth. They build their lives on fragile foundations, relying on external validation and fleeting pleasures to sustain their sense of worth. When the storm comes, and it always does, their foundations crumble, their illusions shatter, and they are left exposed and vulnerable. They become victims of circumstance, blaming external factors for their failures, refusing to take responsibility for their own weakness. They point fingers, make excuses, and wallow in self-pity, trapped in a cycle of negativity and despair. They fail to understand that true power comes from within, from the unwavering belief in one's own ability to overcome adversity, to learn from failures, and to emerge stronger and more resilient. The trap is believing that strength is something you are born with, rather than something you cultivate. It's the assumption that some individuals are naturally tougher, more resilient, or more capable than others. This is a dangerous misconception. While genetics may play a minor role, the vast majority of inner strength is developed through conscious effort, disciplined training, and unwavering commitment to self-improvement. It's about pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone, embracing challenges, and learning to thrive in the face of adversity. It's about cultivating mental toughness, emotional resilience, and a relentless pursuit of excellence. The weak avoid discomfort, seeking refuge in familiar patterns and predictable routines. They fear failure, shying away from risks and opportunities that could expose their vulnerabilities. They become trapped in their own limitations, prisoners of their own fears. The trap is believing that you can coast through life, relying on your natural talents and inherent advantages. It's the assumption that because you've been successful in the past, you will automatically continue to be successful in the future. This is a recipe for disaster. The world is constantly changing, evolving, and becoming more competitive. What worked yesterday may not work today, and what works today may not work tomorrow. You must constantly adapt, learn, and grow to stay ahead of the curve. You must cultivate a growth mindset, embracing challenges as opportunities for learning and development. You must become a lifelong student, constantly seeking new knowledge, new skills, and new perspectives. The trap is believing that you are invincible, immune to the challenges and setbacks that plague others. It's the arrogance of believing that you are somehow special, that you are exempt from the laws of nature and the realities of life. This is a dangerous delusion. No one is immune to hardship, and everyone experiences failure at some point in their lives. The key is not to avoid failure, but to learn from it, to grow from it, and to use it as fuel for future success. You must cultivate humility, acknowledging your own limitations and recognizing the importance of continuous improvement. The trap is neglecting the inner work, focusing solely on external achievements and material possessions. It's the belief that success is measured by wealth, status, or power, rather than by inner peace, fulfillment, and purpose. This is a hollow and unsustainable pursuit. External achievements are fleeting and ephemeral, subject to the whims of fortune and the judgment of others. True success comes from within, from cultivating a sense of inner peace, purpose, and fulfillment that is independent of external circumstances. You must prioritize your mental and emotional well-being, nurturing your inner self and cultivating a strong sense of self-worth. The trap is believing that you can control everything, that you can anticipate every outcome and prevent every setback. It's the illusion of control, the false belief that you can manipulate the world to your liking. This is a futile and frustrating endeavor. The world is inherently chaotic and unpredictable, and there will always be events and circumstances that are beyond your control. The key is not to try to control everything, but to accept what you cannot control and focus on what you can. You must cultivate resilience, the ability to adapt to change, to bounce back from adversity, and to thrive in the face of uncertainty. The trap is surrendering to negativity, allowing fear, doubt, and resentment to consume your thoughts and actions. It's the downward spiral of self-destruction, the insidious voice that whispers in your ear, telling you that you are not good enough, that you are destined to fail, and that there is no point in trying. This is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Negativity breeds negativity, creating a vicious cycle of despair and hopelessness. You must cultivate a positive mindset, consciously choosing to focus on your strengths, your opportunities, and your potential for success. You must silence the inner critic, replacing negative thoughts with positive affirmations and empowering beliefs. The trap is underestimating the power of your mind, the ability to shape your own reality through your thoughts, beliefs, and actions. It's the failure to recognize that your mind is your greatest asset, your most powerful weapon, and your ultimate source of strength. You must take control of your mind, mastering your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. You must cultivate a growth mindset, believing in your ability to learn, grow, and achieve your goals. You must become the master of your own destiny, shaping your own reality through conscious intention and unwavering determination. The strategy to build your inner fortress isn't about brute force, it's about surgical precision. It's about understanding the terrain of your own mind, identifying its weaknesses and reinforcing them with calculated intent. Think of it like this. You're not building a wall to keep the world out. You're building a command center from which you can survey the battlefield of your life. This means knowing your enemies, your fears, your insecurities, your self-sabotaging tendencies better than they know themselves. Understand their tactics, anticipate their moves, and neutralize their power before they can breach your defenses. This is not about suppression, it's about transmutation. Transforming negative energy into fuel, using your weaknesses as stepping stones to strength. Consider the temptation to procrastinate. It's not just laziness, it's often fear disguised as avoidance. Unmask the fear, address the underlying issue, and procrastination loses its power. The strategy demands ruthless self-assessment. Strip away the illusions, the self-deceptions, the comforting lies you tell yourself to justify your failures. Confront the uncomfortable truths about your capabilities, your limitations, and your potential. This isn't about self-flagellation, it's about accurate calibration. Knowing where you stand objectively allows you to chart a course forward with precision and purpose. The strategy involves cultivating strategic alliances, not with external forces, but with internal ones. Forge a partnership between your intellect and your intuition, your discipline and your creativity, your ambition and your compassion. These internal forces, when aligned, become an unstoppable engine for self-improvement and achievement. The trap lies in thinking you can do it alone. Isolation breeds weakness, while collaboration, even internal collaboration, amplifies strength. The strategy necessitates a deep understanding of human nature, both your own and that of others. Learn to read people, to discern their motivations, to anticipate their reactions. This isn't about manipulation, it's about empathy and strategic awareness. Understanding the underlying drivers of human behavior allows you to navigate complex social situations with greater ease and effectiveness. The trap is seeing others as mere obstacles or tools. True strength lies in building genuine connections, in understanding the shared human experience, and in leveraging collective intelligence. The strategy demands constant vigilance. Your inner fortress is not a static structure. It's a dynamic, evolving ecosystem that requires continuous maintenance and reinforcement. Stay alert for vulnerabilities, adapt to changing circumstances, and never become complacent. The trap is thinking you've arrived, that you've achieved a state of permanent invulnerability. The moment you become complacent is the moment your defenses begin to crumble. The strategy involves cultivating a long-term perspective. Building an inner fortress is not a quick fix, it's a lifelong project. It requires patience, perseverance, and an unwavering commitment to self-improvement. The trap is seeking instant gratification, expecting immediate results, and becoming discouraged when progress is slow. True strength lies in embracing the journey, in celebrating small victories, and in maintaining an unwavering focus on your long-term goals. The strategy necessitates a willingness to make sacrifices. Building an inner fortress requires prioritizing your mental and emotional well-being above all else. This may mean sacrificing short-term pleasures, social approval, or even financial gain. The trap is clinging to comfort and security, refusing to let go of anything that holds you back. True strength lies in having the courage to make difficult choices, in aligning your actions with your values, and in pursuing your highest aspirations regardless of the cost. The strategy is not about eliminating adversity, it's about learning to thrive in its presence. Challenges are inevitable, setbacks are unavoidable, and failures are opportunities for growth. The trap is viewing adversity as a sign of weakness, as a reason to give up, or as a justification for self-pity. True strength lies in embracing adversity as a catalyst for transformation, in learning from your mistakes, and in emerging from every challenge stronger and more resilient than before. The strategy understands that true power comes not from dominating others, but from mastering yourself. It's about taking responsibility for your thoughts, emotions, and actions, and using your inner resources to create a life of meaning, purpose, and fulfillment. The trap is seeking external validation, relying on others for your happiness and blaming the world for your problems. True strength lies in becoming self-reliant, in cultivating inner peace, and in creating your own reality regardless of external circumstances. The core of the Machiavellian approach is to recognize reality for what it is, not what you wish it to be. It is about deploying the full spectrum of your mental and emotional capabilities in a calculated manner, leaving no resource untapped. It's not about being ruthless for the sake of ruthlessness, but about understanding that sentimentality and wishful thinking are luxuries you cannot afford on the battlefield of life. Your mind must be a steel trap, analyzing situations with cold logic, anticipating threats, and exploiting opportunities with precision. The fortress you build is not just a defense, it's a launch pad. From this secure inner domain, you project your will onto the world, shaping your destiny with unwavering intent. This requires a constant process of self-calibration, refining your strategies, and adapting to the ever-changing landscape. It demands an honest assessment of your strengths and weaknesses, not to dwell on limitations, but to strategically compensate for them. Remember, the most formidable fortress is not impenetrable but adaptable. It anticipates breaches, it learns from attacks, and it constantly evolves to meet new threats. This is the essence of strategic thinking, to be proactive, not reactive, to shape the narrative, not be defined by it. Consider the Roman Empire, not for its glory, but for its brutal pragmatism. Every legionary was a walking fortress, trained to withstand not only physical blows, but also the psychological terrors of war. They understood that victory was not simply about superior numbers or weaponry, but about unwavering discipline, unshakable morale, and the ability to maintain cohesion under immense pressure. Their mental training was as rigorous as their physical training, instilling in them a sense of duty, loyalty, and self-control that allowed them to overcome fear and fatigue. Their leaders understood the psychology of the battlefield, deploying tactics designed to break the enemy's will to fight. Think of the testudo formation, not just as a shield wall, but as a symbol of collective resilience, a physical manifestation of their unwavering unity. It was a statement to the enemy. You cannot break us because we are not just individuals, we are a single, unbreakable entity. Now consider the modern world. The battlefield has shifted, but the principles remain the same. The enemy is no longer a foreign army, but the internal forces of doubt, fear, and self-sabotage. Your mind is the battlefield, and your thoughts are the weapons. If you allow your thoughts to run rampant, uncontrolled, they will tear you apart from the inside. But if you train your mind, if you cultivate discipline and resilience, you can turn your thoughts into instruments of power. The ability to control your emotions, to focus your attention, and to make rational decisions under pressure is the key to success in any endeavor. This is not about suppressing your emotions, but about understanding them, channeling them, and using them to your advantage. Just as the Roman legionary mastered his fear to fight effectively, you must master your emotions to achieve your goals. The core of psychological warfare is to understand your own vulnerabilities and to exploit the vulnerabilities of your opponent. In the context of self-mastery, this means recognizing your own weaknesses and developing strategies to overcome them. It means identifying your triggers, the things that make you angry, anxious, or insecure, and learning to manage your reactions. It also means understanding the motivations of others, anticipating their actions, and influencing their behavior. This is not about manipulation, but about understanding human nature and using that knowledge to achieve your objectives. The goal is to create a psychological advantage, to put yourself in a position where you are more confident, more focused, and more resilient than your opponent. This requires a constant process of self-assessment, identifying areas where you can improve, and developing strategies to address your weaknesses. It also requires a willingness to confront your own flaws and to accept responsibility for your actions. This is not about being perfect, but about striving for excellence, about becoming the best version of yourself. The path to inner mastery is not easy. It requires dedication, discipline, and a willingness to endure discomfort. But the rewards are immeasurable. The ability to control your mind, to shape your destiny, and to live a life of purpose and meaning is worth any price. It is the ultimate form of freedom, the freedom to choose your own path, to create your own reality, and to become the master of your own fate. Remember, the fortress you build is not just a defense, it's a launchpad for greatness. From this secure inner domain, you project your will onto the world, shaping your destiny with unwavering intent. The stronger your inner fortress, the more resilient you become to the storms of life, and the greater your capacity to achieve your goals. The pursuit of mental mastery is not a passive endeavor. It is an active process of self-cultivation, requiring constant vigilance, unwavering discipline, and an unshakable commitment to personal growth. The ultimate objective is to transform your mind into an impenetrable fortress, capable of withstanding any assault, while simultaneously serving as a launchpad for your ambitions and aspirations. The discipline required to build this inner fortress bleeds into every aspect of your life. It's not just about resisting temptation. It's about crafting a life where temptation holds no power over you. It's about preemptively dismantling the structures that lead to weakness, cutting off the supply lines of doubt and fear. You become your own architect, designing a mental landscape that is both beautiful and impenetrable. Each challenge you overcome, each obstacle you dismantle, adds another layer to the fortress walls. This is not a passive exercise in self-improvement. It is an active declaration of war against your own limitations. And like any war, it demands sacrifices, requires strategic planning, and tests your resolve to its very core. The key is not to avoid the battles, but to choose them wisely, to learn from your defeats, and to emerge from each conflict stronger and more determined than before. This fortress isn't about isolation. It's about creating a safe haven from which to engage with the world on your own terms, to protect yourself from manipulation and distraction, to cultivate the mental clarity needed to make sound decisions. It gives you the power to choose your battles, to allocate your energy wisely, and to focus your attention on what truly matters. Remember that the assault will come. The world will test your walls, probe for weaknesses, and attempt to undermine your resolve. This is not a matter of if but when. Be prepared. Anticipate the attacks. Strengthen your defenses. Reinforce the weak points. Cultivate your awareness. Learn to recognize the signs of an impending assault before it happens. Your mind must become a highly sensitive radar, constantly scanning the horizon for threats, both internal and external. Neglect your defenses, and you invite ruin. Treat your inner world with the same strategic rigor you would a physical battleground. The difference is, this battleground is far more critical. The fate of your life hangs in the balance. Your inner fortress is not a static structure. It is a living, breathing entity that requires constant maintenance and adaptation. Just as a physical fortress needs regular repairs and upgrades, your mental fortress requires constant vigilance, ongoing self-assessment, and a willingness to adapt to new threats. The moment you become complacent, the moment you let your guard down, is the moment your fortress becomes vulnerable. But this is not just about defense. A fortress is not merely a shelter from the storm. It is also a staging ground for expansion, a platform for projecting power, a base of operations for launching bold initiatives. Your inner fortress is the foundation upon which you build your life's work, the bedrock of your ambitions, the source of your unshakable confidence. It is from this secure inner domain that you can pursue your goals with unwavering focus, unyielding determination, and an unshakable belief in your own ability to succeed. The stronger your fortress, the greater your capacity to withstand setbacks, overcome obstacles, and ultimately achieve your dreams. This inner strength will not only safeguard you from the chaos and uncertainty of the external world, but also empower you to shape your own destiny, to leave your mark on the world, and to live a life of purpose, meaning, and fulfillment. Therefore, cultivate this fortress. Nourish it with discipline, fortify it with knowledge, and defend it with unwavering resolve. Let it be a symbol of your indomitable spirit, a testament to your unwavering commitment to self-mastery. Let the world see in you a fortress of strength, a beacon of resilience, and a force to be reckoned with. Remember, the ultimate goal is not merely to survive,